Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of Spamhaus Deliverability Live. If you don't know me already, I'm Abby from Spamhaus, and today I'm here again with Anna and Shri. I don't know where they are on the screen for you guys, from Spamhaus Technology for Ask Spamhaus Anything. So, have you ever had a question that you wished you could have asked Spamhaus? Well, we've been collecting your questions over the past 4 weeks, and we're going to try and get through as many as possible in the next 15 minutes. I'm not going to waste any more time, so I'm going to hand over to Anna and Sri. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. Thanks. So it's actually quite nice to be here doing this Q&A because I remember the first time I bumped into Spamhaus many moons ago, and there were very scarce information about them on the internet, mostly urban legends as well. And I remember speaking to one of them saying, guys, you should really do a Q&A. There's things people want to know, and it would be just nice, to reach out. And over the years, as you can see, things have definitely changed. We have made big strides in sort of coming out from the shell. You no longer have to go to conferences to just chase Spamhaus people to ask your questions. There's so much going on in our social medias now. We now have this fantastic resource hub where you can look up all the questions you have. It has very convenient sorting by the tag or by the topic, or even if you remember you read something last autumn, you can look it up in the calendar, which I think is pretty helpful. So yeah, happy to be here, happy to answer all of your questions, and hopefully we get some good ones as we go.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you, Anna. So I think, yeah, we'll just get into the questions straight away. So the first question that we have is, I use a deliverability vendor and get very few spam traps hits. Is there a threshold for the number of spam traps you hit before being listed? So Anna, do you want to start with this one?
Sure. That's actually a question I get as well sometimes. And the thing is, we don't only judge by the number of spam trap hits. There's so many factors that go into the reputation of your domain and in your and on your IP, so that you shouldn't really focus on spam trap hits alone. And sometimes you don't even need to have the exact spam trap hit to have the things being observed that are not quite right, if I can put it bluntly. So in a nutshell, if you hit a lot of spam traps, yes, that is definitely bad. If you hit a few spam traps, that is also not great, because that is pretty much a red flag. That is something not right with the way you acquire the email addresses you're trying to reach. But also, you could have no spam trap hits and still get listed. So to put it bluntly, I wouldn't really focus on this number alone.
Yep, that's right. And I think you've covered everything. But just to add, the volume of spam trap hits really do not matter. As you said, it's actually the quality of your list that matters. So if there is even a few spam trap hits, what we need to really check is, where are those spam traps coming into your database? What is the source of those addresses? And that's the audit that you need to do. And most of the times we try to provide as much information available with us that we can share so that you can go ahead and do that audit. So yeah, just go ahead and check, hey, is it really a problem with your opt-in process, or if it's a problem with the captcha on your website and so on. So yeah, that's what you should be chasing, not the number of spam trap hits. So if we move on to the second question. So someone is asking, I run a small business and send emails using my own email server. Will the reputation of my hosting provider affect my reputation?
Yeah, that is another good one. And understanding that small business also has really restricted resources, as in you only have so much staff and you only have so much money to spend on a solution. Sometimes cutting of costs can happen. And then that also means sharing the IP and sharing the server with someone else. And sadly, unfortunately, no matter how good your mailing practices are, if your neighbors are sloppy and if they are sending poor reputation, poor quality emails, your reputation will also be affected in the long run. So this is something, as a small business owner, you should consider going forward, whether you could splurge and get the static AP for your own server, dedicated server, or hire a company that would do the mailing for you, who know what they're doing, and then they will protect your reputation. So it is a concern indeed. It really is.
Yep, agree. And the only thing I need to add is it's always good to do a little due diligence on just to figure out like where you're going to, which hosting provider you're going to choose, just to check if there's reputation available. I mean, there are a lot of, if you are getting hosted at, say, a bulletproof hosting provider, of course, the reputation of your IP or domain is going to be degraded. So as Anna mentioned in the beginning, the Spamhaus project website, the spamhaus.org, has a lot of resources. We have a reputation checker where you can go ahead and check the reputation of IP or the domain, so you know what you're getting into. So it's always good to do some homework before you go ahead and pay that hard-earned money. So the next question is, I'm setting to an opt-in list and have a sunset policy in place. What other signals does Spamhaus look at other than spam traps?
Do you want to start with this one for a change?
Sure. So we look at multiple signals, and spam trap is just one of them. But honestly, if you are having a good opt-in process in place, a good sunset policy in place, there are very few chances that you might be getting listed, because those are the basics. If you have the basics covered, you should be fine. Now, there are many other signals also. A couple of them, I'll just run through a few of them, just top of my mind. One is try to avoid snowshoeing. Just audit the number of IPs that you have based on the volume of emails that you're sending, and just send from those IPs. Authenticate your email. Let your SPF record have those IPs so that we know what to expect and where to expect your mail from. Secure your website, if just to avoid any compromises or, say, WordPress hacks and so on. So take those in place. Again, falling back to the earlier point, have your a good network reputation, because your neighbors are going to affect your reputation, especially if you're in a shared with a shared hosting provider. The other thing we see is other signals that we see is like a lot of people nowadays just try to use cousin domains, and they think that's completely fine. But honestly, if you can, please try using your subdomain rather than just going ahead and using a cousin domain. And also try to figure out where exactly your domain is being used at. Say if you are having affiliates and so on, you might want to audit that. If they are sending to a bad list, that might also affect your domain reputation. And I think overall, just try to send consistent volume, avoid spike in email traffic, so we know again what to expect, and there's not too many red flags. And those are the few signals that we look at. Do you want to add on anything, Anna?
No, I think this one was actually quite exhaustive. We should scoot on because we have a few more questions to cover. And something you actually mentioned really ties it nicely with the next question. I opened a ticket, however, the ticket now shows as closed. Why are some of my support tickets are being closed without answer? And as you said, people sometimes avoid using their domains. And when we see the request coming from a free mail, and especially from behind a VPN, we cannot attribute this to you, sadly, as in we cannot confirm that this is definitely you in charge of the AP rather than someone else trying to get around, or if the situation is required an ISP to look at. That's another thing we are aware of, because we sometimes get end users getting in touch, requesting for help while they are in no power to do anything, especially in shared IPs. So this is why this is important for you to use the domain that is attributed to your website or your mailing server, so we can double check that it's definitely you.
Yeah, agree. I mean, we get to see a lot of tickets where it's from end user, and there's not much the end user could do about that particular issue. We need to have either the IP owner or who was responsible for the network, because it might be a much larger issue. Exactly. And again, to add on, this is a misconception that I've been hearing for the longest time throughout my career, that there are a lot of postmaster desk or abuse desk out there where you put a request and it just goes to a black hole. That's not true, at least at the places that I've worked at. every ticket is looked at, so that you can be rest assured. But again, as Anna mentioned, there are a few prerequisites that we look at that really helps us when we look at those tickets to one, A, resolve your issue properly, and B, have as much information possible. So one of the biggest pain point for us now is like a lot of people using ChatGPT to put in the request, and that's just, as you know, Anna, you might have also seen just paragraphs of a lot of a lot of information. I mean, not a lot of text with zero information. So all we can say is avoid ChatGPT, even if it's like if you're a non-English speaker, you can just put in whatever language. We can try to figure out what you're trying to what the issue is. So if you have the basics in place, just give us the information like, hey, what is a bounce message, what time it happened, or anything related to the actual issue, and just keep it brief. Don't give us the complete your complete business model. We can that will make us look at your tickets and help resolve the issue. The other thing that we see a lot is people opening a lot of duplicate tickets. So using our Spamhaus checker, if you have additional information, you can go ahead and update the ticket rather than 10 people in the same organization opening a ticket. I understand it happens, but if that can be avoided, that just fastens our whole the process of looking at tickets sooner.
Right, we only have this much time left, so let's go. I opened a ticket, however, oh, sorry, I read that one. I regularly use email list validation, but I still ended up being listed by Spamhaus. How is this possible?
Okay, the first thing, list validation is not a replacement for permission. I think I've heard that many times. I just have to repeat that. So, I mean, I do have a lot of strong opinions about the whole validation thing, but yeah, just to keep it simple, I understand like, hey, there is a use case for the validation, especially at the source of collection. If you have users mistyping, say, a free mail provider or something, you can go ahead and get that corrected. But beyond that, it's basically having permission. So if you have a really robust confirmed opt-in process, you should not really have to go through the whole loops of the list validation. So, and again, the other thing is, if there is some list validation service saying that they can remove spam traps, which is also not true. So, yeah, confirmed opt-in. Let's go with that.
And another one, I am sending to the list that is 5 years old, and most contacts have recent engagement. However, I was recently listed in Spamhaus and informed it was due to sending to an old invalid domains. Why is this? I think it really ties nicely together to the previous one as well, where over time domains expire, inboxes get overfilled as well. And just because some of the domains and emails are still engaged doesn't mean that the rest of it is still there. So there's, as much as you would have liked to use the old list, it does not always remain valid forever.
Yeah, agree. And something I keep on saying is every email address has an expiry date. So yeah, the other thing is how we look at engagement also has changed a lot over the last couple of years, especially with the Apple MPP and so on. So if there is other data, especially first-party data that you can look at, use those signals before terming an email address as valid or engaged and so on. Also look at the cadence and the email frequency. If you are sending to addresses just every few months, then you might really want to look at, hey, is that address still existing and so on. And yeah, use a confirmation pass or a re-opt-in campaign as necessary.
Okay, the last question, we can do it under 1 minute. Can you explain why you think it's acceptable to list newly registered legitimate domains on your block list without clear justification for reputation reasons?
Yeah, I think I'll take that. So Spamhaus maintains a list of newly registered domains called ZRD, or Zero Reputation Domain. And these lists contains domains which we newly see in the last 24 hours and keep them listed for 24 hours. And then after that, we just, they are automatically delisted. But there are other cases where also we see domains which are recently registered, sending email from day one, and there's not much information for us about the whole domain itself. There's no publicly available information about the domain. There's no website. There's no whose information. So there can be a lot of reasons. So most of the newly registered domains that we see, at least, are I mean, the reason we keep them listed is either they're using phishing campaigns or malware attacks and so on. So it is important for us to go ahead and have this list, but at the same time, there should be a really legitimate reason for using a domain from day one. So just give us signals to trust your domain, and as much as possible, you need to warm up a domain before using it to send emails. And as I mentioned, again, call back to your cousin domains and so on. So there's a whole lot of other signals we look at. So again, build a reputation for your domain before actually sending out. And the ways to build reputation is having that information that we can go ahead and access.
And with that, we're out of question, and I think we're just 1 minute over. So sorry, Abby.
I think I'll forgive you. Sorry, I was just trying to come back off video there. I think you covered a lot there today, guys. Pretty impressive. I'm thinking it would be useful if we share the questions in the comments below as a reminder of what we've covered today. So
That would be good,
wants
yeah.
to come back to the recording, then you can do that. As always, the recording will be on the LinkedIn live feed and also the YouTube channel as well. So we'll share details on social media of that. But excellent. Thank you, guys. And yeah, we'll share details of the next episode very, very soon. So
Thanks for having
thank
us.
you both. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.